get started, Carol?
Our mission, Helping Parents Heal, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents. Through support and resources offered, we aspire to help individuals become shining light parents, meaning a shift from a state of emotional heaviness to one of hopefulness and greater peace of mind. HPH goes a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and afterlife evidence in a non-dogmatic way. HPH affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background, and encourage open dialogue. Attendance at all HPH meetings is voluntary. All discussions that take place at affiliate-led meetings are confidential. We hope that participants will learn from and share with each other. Zoom meetings run by HPH leadership are not confidential. These meetings typically feature guest presenters and are posted on YouTube so that affiliate members worldwide can watch and benefit. Neither type of HPH meeting is designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers, allowing parents to learn about many possible ways to heal. This includes presenters covering progressive topics such as afterlife evidence and connecting with children who have passed. The views expressed by our guest speakers may or may not reflect the opinion of Helping Parents Heal leaders and members. So we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you, Carol. So we're going to just turn it over to you, Drew, because I know you're going to do a fabulous job, if that's okay. So welcome, Drew, Cali.
Hey, thank you for having me. Hey, everybody. Thanks, Elizabeth. I appreciate it. Hey, Irene. So my name is Drew Cali, and I am a psychic medium. I can tell you all how wonderful I am. The bottom line is I didn't know I could do this. I never really thought about doing this. And when it happened and I started having these experiences, I thought it was either a mistake or it would go away. But really secretly, I remember this feeling of homecoming. And I just knew that that's what I came here to do. I don't mean to sound arrogant, I promise. Because before that, everything I did what everyone thought I was supposed to. I did what everyone else thought I should do. You know, like the typical outside of New York City, it's kind of a rat race. And, you know, I live in New Jersey. I was born in New Jersey. And I had everything I thought I wanted, you know, and it was really, really hollow. I didn't realize it till my mom passed from cancer. I got back from Iraq, ended up getting married, and my mom was sick, so 2-year battle. And then, and there's a whole story, I gotta say this. So I'm writing, so this came up. On Christmas Day, she was gurneyed out, and she leaned forward to my dad. They've been together since he was 16. And she kissed him and said, "You better get married again." Like, the woman was just tough, you know, just tough Irish. So anyway, you know, fast forward a little bit. We got married. We kind of fast tracked it because my mom was sick. We had a stillborn baby girl, 8 months, 1 week. Her name was Emily, October 28th, 2009. So then 26 days later, my brother-in-law took his own life in a very violent way with a weapon, and it wasn't a gun. So they thought, you know, it was murder. It was really difficult. And my sister's husband. So all of a sudden, everything around me changed because everything within me changed. And everything that I had was just not important anymore. You know, it didn't matter how much I was making a ton of money. I mean, that's all I did was work. And so anyway, my wife and I, ex-wife now, were going to therapy. And of course I was going to fix her. You know, she needed help. So, and I say that jokingly, but we went together, and then we ended up separating into 2 separate. And I remember my therapist, she basically asked me a question: "What do you do for fun?" I couldn't answer. And I remember that's when I started looking. And when I did answer, I was always either using drugs or I was drinking. And it didn't mean like street drugs necessarily, like, but prescription. I was numbing. I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know how to do. And if you ask anyone at that time, to me, I was like the rock. I was like, you know, the glue, and I had to fix everyone and keep everyone together. And I know some of you can identify with this. So, you know, for me, it wasn't an option. And you don't know how far, you don't know how strong you can be until you have to be, right? And you also don't know how deep you can love until you have children, you know? And I do have almost a 5-year-old now. But, you know, that period of time immediately changed everything. And there was nobody around. Nobody was around after a couple of weeks. It felt like that anyway. Nobody knew how to deal with us, and nobody knew how to, you know, if they ask me how they're doing, they're not going to want to hear what I have to say, you know? And I started finding myself like drinking in the middle of the day. I would drink these giant things of like a chug of vodka. And like I had gone to a bar at like lunchtime and had an OJ and vodka or something, but this was different. This was, it wasn't angry drinking. It was so deep that it was like I was trying to fill the donut hole with, which eventually was only to be filled by spirituality, or seeking spirituality. And anyway, my sister put me in touch. So after I couldn't answer, I ended up getting sober and clean. And it was hard, much harder than I thought. And my sister's like, you got to talk to this psychic, you know? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. And it wasn't to like connect with my mom or anything like that. Now, we had gone to John Edward. My aunt got us tickets, and in New Jersey. And it was just funny, you know? He's Irish and Italian. His dad was a cop, same thing as me. And I remember walking out of that event. He spent 30 minutes on my family and me. And people, there was 500 people there. People were really angry. And I know he might get a bad rap because he was one of the first, but there was something about him that I just knew he wasn't, he couldn't have known stuff that he knew. I wasn't even on the I wasn't registered. And when I walked out of there, my head was, how did he know like my initial? How did he know my mom had a baby with her? How did he, just simple things. It was very evidence based. It wasn't very fluffy. And for some reason at that time, it resonated with me. And it's interesting too, because my brother was with me to this day. He's like, I don't remember anything. He didn't say that. So, you know, I don't try to make anybody believe. I don't feel like that's my job. In short order, my sister put me in touch with this psychic who told me, you're going to do this work. And I was like, what work? Like, what do you mean work? Like, I make good money. I'm good, you know? And of course she was 80% right. So all I could do is look at the 20% she got wrong. See, she didn't get that. That's how we are. And then we kind of knock the other 30% off and get it down to 50-50 after we walk out the door, right? Well, you know, so she told me to meditate that night. I remember being like, where are my spirit guides? I don't see them. And really sarcastic and and like cynical in a like a harsh way. And she was like, are you sitting next to a fire with a brown dog? And I was like, yeah. Then I was freaked out. I thought I was on like a show. So anyway, I meditated that night. I won't get into the experience, but the one thing I'll say, I never meditated before. Now it was about a year to the day after I was sober. And sobriety to me is when spirituality is at my center point. It's the beginning of it was not drinking, not taking something to alter my mood and my mind, to feel. I felt like they ripped an emotional Band-Aid off of an emotional amputation. Like I didn't feel anything since I was 13 years old. I didn't grow up in a house you wanted to be in. So eventually, after that experience, I started hearing, seeing, and feeling things. And it was very random, or it felt like that, but it was very purposeful when looking back. And, you know, what I started to realize was mediumship was not a ghost standing next to me like, say Jonathan, say December, you know, because then they would just go to you. It was literally an understanding, a voice that sounded like mine in my head, but it was different. And it came up through me. I don't know how to explain it. So I ended up giving messages to people and it made sense. And I really would be like surprised. I was taking pictures and like going to my therapist, like, please tell me, I think I need to go to the crazy house. Like I really didn't get it. So, and being Irish and Italian, good Catholic, I ended up looking for demons. I was looking for people that were stuck and all this stuff, and I didn't find anything. What I did find is that when I was afraid, it was scary. And when I was calm, it was peaceful. That's what I found. And when I work with spirit, if it doesn't help or it doesn't heal, I don't get it. It has no intelligence and no bearing for me. And I didn't purposefully design that. And I remember I had a guy come in with a big, yellow sheet of paper with, all right, I got a bunch of questions. And I'm like, well, shit, if I'm a psychic, all right, and the first question was like, how many lives did I live? And I just remember being like, I stopped him after I think 3 or 4. And I was like, dude, so if I told you you had 838 or 3,942, what's the difference? How's that going to help you? Like, and how can you tell me that I'm wrong? I could just make it up. Like, I was trying to protect him from like, just, believing anything. Do I have karmic debt? And I was like, do you want me to give you like a bank account on it? Like deposits versus credits? It was just very bizarre. I didn't realize that the people give us that much power. So anyway, my journey started with, you all probably know Janet Nahovac. I was guided to go to her. And then I really didn't find in America what I found overseas in England at Arthur Findlay College, the evidence-based mediumship and validations. I needed your voice to tell me I was making sense. And I didn't want you to tell me anything because then my head would get involved and my ego gets involved. I want to draw a conclusion and I want to be right. I want to look good, and I spent probably 6 years overseas for weeks at a time, probably sometimes for months. I'd spend like 3 to 5 weeks, come back. I would go to Scotland or I'd go work with someone else. I'd worked in England, thought I was going to move there. And when I came back here, I moved up to Saratoga Springs and got into healing. The healing brings me to meditation. I started sitting with people, and when I would go into a meditation or I would do Reiki energy healing with them, things like that, I noticed in a meditative state, people could have their own mediumistic experience with their loved ones, but they can't be expecting it or looking for it or demanding it. And it's so hard because people are like, no, I'm totally open. But you can intellectually want to be open, but not necessarily emotionally and spiritually be open. I don't know how else to explain it. It's predicated on the need, not the want. I don't sit around and talk to my mom, and I don't read for people that I love or I know because I'm rooting for them. I have an agenda. So meditation changed my life. That one meditation. And look, people are like, so if I meditate, I'm just going to, I don't know, I can't vouch for that. But what I can vouch for is I don't have to take ADD medication. I was on it from when I was really young. I probably started with, that was part of my addiction process. And there is a clarity and a knowing that is so strong in me. There are times where I can't put my finger on it, but there is just this trust. And look, I don't wake up like super spiritual. I curse like a truck driver. I don't have a bath phone to God. I don't get the special treatment. I don't. My life can be really difficult. And right now is. But for some reason, when I share this space, and I worked on me for a long time, and I still do, I became a student. And the more that I teach this, the more that I become a student. And I feel like ultimately the words I don't know give me freedom, and all the possibilities are open. When I know, and I'm sure, and this is what I know, this is what I was born told, and blah, blah, blah. Like I don't undo some of the beliefs, and I didn't purposefully do it. I was just proved wrong a lot. I was looking for spirits stuck in the dark. I didn't find that. I was wondering if people that took their own lives accidentally or purposefully didn't cross over, or they were in a special bad place or purgatory. Didn't find that. All these things. And I get people that are like, well, isn't someone that, if someone's murdered, like, just think about this for 1 second. If somebody was murdered, or their life, a child's life was taken accidentally, or, however it was, why would they relive that moment over and over and over at the top of the stairs in a white dress at 12 midnight? Like, why do all the ghosts hang out in the basement by the furnace or in the attic? And I'm just trying to I had to be logical. because I had so many people coming to me with so much stuff. I had a woman thought that her daughter was possessed. And I remember I told her husband to give her holy water, and not because he said we put holy water on, she freaked out. And I'm like, yeah, but you told her you're going to put it on her, right? He's like, yeah, and you're talking to a guy that I was drinking holy water and smoking sage pretty much, because I just didn't know what was going on and I was scared. And after a while it integrates. And someone just asked in the chat, should we all study mediumship? So I teach a course called the Butterfly Course, and the next one isn't open until September. And I teach it for 4 to 6 months. And yes and no. Meditation can give you the playground for spiritual interaction. It can be a bridge, but a conversation. So let me ask you this. If you go to a medium, when is it enough? How many mediums do you have to go to get it proven? Because what starts to happen is you start diminishing the really good ones and looking for more. And then you start not believing it because they're not as good now, because the need's not there, the want is. And I've witnessed it and I've been a part of it, where people will come to me and I feel like I have to work 5 times as hard and I'm exhausted just trying to get some simple information, and it's not that good. Or it wouldn't be like the reading I'd want to give somebody. And I think that because nowadays we could throw a rock and hit a medium, and I mean that in a good way and a bad way. For the most part, I just feel like you have to know you first. You have to get through your emotions first. For me, that 9 years in therapy, PTSD, I was pulling people out of a car because they were riding me from behind when I got, over the George Washington Bridge when I got back. And I could drink and have fun with the best of them. And I'm like 6'2", like 290. I'm a big dude. I should be 250, but COVID. But the more that I learned about me, the less afraid I was of the things I didn't really know. I don't know how to explain that. So we become more receptive to the language of spirit, the energy that is spirit. The divine runs through you, from you, and to you so that life happens for you, right? It's not a, do you hear my dog? Can you guys hear that? I'm gonna have to change that before we meditate. Like his brand new 2 little puppies. So ultimately, learning the empath is energy, emotion. Is it yours? Is it mine? Is it the room? Intuition, the big I, instinct, inclination, right? It's just that kind of like, how does a dog know to do this? Or how do I know this? Something's not right. Usually we could all think of examples where we knew something wasn't right, but our mind kept saying it was okay, or someone sold us on something. And then you move up and it's kind of like the psychic senses. If you have a soul, you are psychic. Psychic just means of or related to the soul. It doesn't mean I see the future in movie film roles, right? So yes, you can learn to connect, but again, it's not a conversation. So I go back to finding peace with acceptance and for the love that you are, not that you were or you had. And I find a lot of people, especially with loss and grief, letting go of the grief is not letting go of the love. And I find that a lot. People have a hard time. I can't be happy. They wouldn't like that. Let me tell you, the last thing, I've never had anybody come over and be like, oh, I'm so glad you're miserable. And look, I don't take myself that seriously, but I take my work extremely seriously. It is not there's no shortcuts. Sorry. But because there are not any shortcuts is why you appreciate more. And it sustains. Slow and steady is sustainable, right? All these quick fixes out there. I mean, I could intellectualize why I should forgive someone, but when they're around me, do I get angry? I can't just shift that, So there's so much more to who we are. And I just feel like I'll end with this, is that with children, I didn't know that I could love to the capacity that I do. So I get it. Although I lost a stillborn, at 8 months, we had the name and room, and we were just going for like something just she's not kicking kind of thing. And so I understand it that way, but I've had people that I know lost 2 children a week apart. They were one of them was my best friend. This organization, you guys are very lucky, because I have a lot of people that come to me, and I try recommending that they go here. I have people calling, they're so angry and so lost, and nobody has the right answer for them, but a medium somehow is going to give them the right answer. So ultimately, the acceptance that I'm not going to have my baby walk through that door or through the wall in a mediumship session allows me to just let go. And I think that, finding, and I think about it this way. Sorry, I keep doing this. I just feel like I need to say this, that imagine the absolute perfect reading with a child. You would crave that, right? If you could, and I'm not saying, listen, I've given some really spectacular readings. I wouldn't do this if I didn't feel like I could really help people. But I'm just saying that I've had people get addicted to it, and they will call, it's the birthday, it's a special date, or, there's just so much where people get stuck on. And on the other side, just think about this. Their home you're visiting. It's not the other way around. And I know as a parent, we just can't accept that, or, it's hard. But I will say that to them, you'll be home from school at the end of the week. And to you, it's a lifetime away, for whatever reason, we agreed to on some level, whether you believe that or not, I do believe that we agreed to the potentials of this happening. And in some ways we're chosen, to be able to come together for people to really, really empathize with other people, unless you've experienced all the beautiful things in my life, or from the worst things that could happen in your life. It's true. Everything in my life that I'm so grateful for happened because, and I had a lot. So nobody's immune to it. And inside you and around you, connected to you, are the answers. We all want to do this alone. You can't. You're not supposed to. We're not built for that. You got to hold on to the person that's got the lantern in front of you, that's holding on to the person that's got the lantern in front of them. Someone up front is looking at a lighthouse somewhere, or at least you believe that for now. So meditation, the only way to learn how to meditate is to meditate. The only way to understand and have these understandings beyond words, to me, is to meditate. And it can be extremely healing and cathartic, but you don't have to see anything. You don't have to hear anything. You just have to allow yourself enough room to be able to sit quietly. Because most of us, even before tragedy, didn't want to sit with ourselves because we're not comfortable with that. I always tell people, sit quietly with chimes on your phone as an alarm for 12 minutes every day until it gets easy, and then do 15, and then kind of build up. And you'll realize when you get to 30 minutes that it took you 20 to get there, to really get into it. When you get to 45 minutes, it took you 20, 25 minutes to really let go. But most people want to get up and run, right? Because we're just human doings, not human beings. And it's hard to just sit in our stuff. And the purpose for me today is I want to be able to guide you through some meditation that takes you beyond thought, beyond mind, and beyond self, so that you can literally connect. You can feel the presence of the divine, but most importantly is to get beyond the emotions and beyond the earthly brain. And look, there are tons of guided meditations out there. You can meet your spirit guides. You can, I just did a spirit guides and angels. I have one, the Sacred Soul Experience, coming up April 23rd, where I do 4 hours and we do 2 or 3 or 4 meditations, and we share after. It's really cathartic, right? In the unexpected is where the magic is. If I go into a spirit guide meditation I'm going to be expecting a spirit guide. And then when I come out of that, I'm going to question whether or not my mind made it up. So when I take you through today, I'm going to say things and invoke things where you won't expect it. Right. So don't try to follow along. Just allow yourself to just be. Okay. I didn't mean to go on and on. It's like 8:30, but maybe I needed to for me. I don't know.
Oh, Drew, I just want to tell you, everybody
Please.
is saying how wonderful it is to hear you because you are so real. You are so, it
Thanks.
gives all of us hope and faith that at some point we will all feel the same way that you are feeling now, and especially at peace with that meditation, with all of the different things that you do. But I think that the best part about listening to you is realizing that we can all do this. This is something
Right.
that's open to all of us. We just need to slow down and allow ourselves to figure out ways to heal. But I think that one of the things that you said that was just so important for people to understand too is that seeing a medium, and especially a good medium, is almost like a drug. And you will go one time and you absolutely love what you hear, and then you want to go back and go back. And what you're teaching people is to do this on our own. We can do it on our own. We don't have to keep going to see a
Right.
medium. And our kids would love to be able to just communicate with us directly. So they love communicating through you as well, but you're booked up. So it's really good to be able to take courses to find out how to do this as well. So thank you for being you. You're amazing. And
Oh, thank you.
anyway, I love that we are human doings and not human beings. I love that. Yes, exactly. We are always doing something. So I don't know if you'd like, I have so many questions that people are asking. So
Sure.
if you want to answer some questions, that'd be wonderful. The
Sure.
first question that I saw was, do we have to be completely, can we drink at all if we want to be a medium? Because one of the moms said that she likes wine.
Oh,
Is
listen.
that something that
Yeah,
we
no. So let me say this. I'm not against alcohol. I'm against it in my body. Um, and I could sit with you and have a couple beers, everything would be fine, but that wouldn't be later on. I'd be like, oh, maybe everything that's good in my life, I want more of. And that's worked out to be a benefit for me when I take anything that puts the unknown behavior in there. If you enjoy whatever you enjoy and relaxes you, I know people that being a vegan and being sober does not make you better medium or a better psychic, and I've had people I didn't eat any meat products for almost a year and I felt great. But I tried everything because I really didn't know and I didn't know what to believe. I read hundreds of books. What I started to realize was that very few people were willing to tell me how this worked. But one of the things is, yes, you can drink. If it becomes a problem and you're trying to control it, then you have to look at that. But no, this is not, I don't stand with a flag that says you can't drink and do this. I know a lot of people that drink and do it.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Um, and also, let's see, I just think this is an interesting question. Maria is asking, just curious, did your dad remarry after you were explaining this about your mom?
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. So listen, and if you guys are thinking of logging off because they're not doing messages, don't. Just hang tight. It'll be worth it. So he didn't remarry, but 4 months later, he's still with the woman he was. And it's so weird because I went to high school with her daughter, and so did my sister. So he's still with the same woman he met 4 months after, and half my family was so angry about it, But I couldn't see him being alone. If you know him, he needed to be with somebody. He was just wired like that. So and they're in Florida right now together. So yes,
Your
didn't
mom-
remarry, but they bought a house. They did everything but that.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah.
really sweet. And people are saying I can relate to Drew more and more each time I watch him, which I feel the same way. I just love listening to what you have to say about your own journey because it relates to all of us. And Mary's asking a question, and I think that this is probably the question that all of us have. How about when you try to meditate and you can't quiet your mind? That is the main problem that I have with meditation. Maybe you could talk a little bit about quieting the mind and how you were able to do so.
Absolutely. So I used to do this. So on my website, drewcali.com, there's a free guided meditation. All you have to do is put your email address in there and they'll mail it to you. It's called The Pearl Within. So it's a 22-minute color-based, chakra-based journey that opens up a pearl, and we'll do a little bit of it tonight. And I don't know where it came from. We did it in one take, like in 2013, but I started getting into spots where I would sit for an hour every morning from 5:15 till about 6:15. And I could sit longer, meaning meditate in the quiet. I craved the quiet. I felt like when I would open my eyes, it was almost like, whoa, wrong place. You know, it was just weird. And guided meditations were good, but like, you don't have to be flying on the back of, you know, a dragon with Archangel Michael and his sword. And, you know, like, that's all cool. Like, you will get the nuggets when you need them. But for me, in the nothing is everything. And I mean that. I don't say it because it's esoteric or something. It's true. You know, when I'm not looking for something, I'll get answers, you know, and I get very clear guidance sometimes. But for the most part, I pray my way into it. So I have these beads, and even though I don't consider myself religious in any way, shape, or form, it is a path that I grew up with that's close to home. So I do like a version of a rosary, and I whisper it like, and so my lips are moving, because if I try to do it with my thoughts in my mind, it starts to slow down so much that it's like too hard. And I just do that. And I have this kind of thing where I count, and I get to a certain point and I just meditate. I pray my way into a meditative state. That started working for me in a beautiful way. I mean, literally your brain chemistry will change, and they scientifically can show that. When people start praying or they close their eyes and meditate, different parts of your brain are accessed. So praying your way into meditation is good. If you anticipate what you're about to meditate to, your mind will be ahead of it. You know what I mean? It's like, here comes the light, here comes the door, and we're going to make a left, you know, like, we can't help it. And so like, for me, live guided meditation, I could always do, and I could do a guided meditation recorded like here and there to kind of keep me focused. But that's a good way. And look, there's a lot of free meditation stuff out there. If you really want to meditate, the only way to learn how to meditate is to actually take the action of sitting and meditating daily. I've never met anybody that meditated once and they're like, well, this is awesome, I'm gonna meditate for the rest of my life. And they actually did. Because the first time might be amazing, and the second time you're like, what happened? You know? And then I've never met anybody that's been meditating for a number of years that would give it up for anything. It changes you. It does. And you become changed. You can't help it. And you want to plug in. You don't want to live there, but that's my power source for the day. So I hope that helps.
That's beautiful. Jackie is saying, how about when you go too deep into the meditation and you don't remember anything afterwards? It's like a blackout. How can I do better in order to remember?
So that's a good question. So sometimes with my voice, as I guide someone into a meditation or a group, people will say, like, after 3 minutes, I didn't hear anything. I was just like, and so the voice can be an instrument to kind of take someone, you know, somewhere, right? It's just part of the symphony. And I think that, you know, I guess, hold on. Can you guys see me? My screen just went black.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Damn. What was I saying?
Our voice is an instrument to lead us into the meditation. Is that?
Yeah, but the question.
The question was about blacking out.
Oh, yes. Sorry. So when people go, so everybody resonates at a different frequency. And when you go into an altered state or a trance-like state, there are certain people that are just more inclined to let go and go deeper. There are some people are more inclined to have more visualizations or intuitive imagery. Some people need to control it. So they won't let themselves go that far. It's almost like when you're falling, or you think you're falling when you're dreaming and you kind of snap out of it. You know, your head can fall forward or to the side. And what I did was, over a period of time, because it used to happen to me all the time, is I would sit in a way where my back is straight up and down, My head wasn't too far forward. It was just tilted and it could sit far enough back where I wouldn't fall asleep, but I wouldn't like have my head go in different places, and it would kind of keep me anchored. And I just needed to sit in this. So I sat in the same chair at the same time in the same way. I made a date with spirit every day. And for me, the morning was great because I could take my meditation with me to the day. If I have to take my day into the meditation at night, it's hard. And not until I got, down the road. And I have something I do called press pause on Facebook every Thursday morning, or as often as I can. And the reason I did the press pause is because pressing pause in the middle of my day is required. Like I have to press pause and just be like, all right, let me just pray on that for a minute. The thing you don't want to do the most is the thing you need to do the first. So people are like, oh, I can't find time. Yeah, you can. If it's important to you, you will. Promise you. For me, the best time to meditate was in the morning. And I would get up before I do anything. It'd be one of the first things I would do. And I promise you, you will feel more refreshed after a period of time of meditating than staying in bed and trying to sleep longer. I don't know how to explain it. There's a calm and a clarity that starts to come, and you start to unlock natural intuition. It lowers your blood pressure. It just gave me clarity. I don't know how to explain it. So, yeah.
That's what we all want too. Janine is saying many mediums say that they have difficulty communicating with their own loved ones. And you kind of mentioned that yourself, or don't. She is curious why it is possible, if it's possible for us to, as parents, or if it's harder for us if we're trying to connect ourselves and someone else.
I would say yes and no. Like if they have the ability to connect with you, how many people have gotten signs? Right? And as soon as you explain that to someone, you're like, maybe not. Right? You're like, no, it was 11:11. A butterfly crossed my path. And then the song Journey came on, and they're like, what? So remember, some things are just for you. And you don't need to explain them or share them all the time. Sometimes, great. However, I feel I don't sit around and talk to my mom. I wish I could. And in the very beginning, I did. I would try to connect, and I tried so hard, and I was told, don't do that, this kind of thing. And I found it got cloudier the harder I tried over the first year or two. And it was weird. And some of you probably have experienced this where you would get signs in the beginning and then it slows down. You're like, what'd I do wrong? Are they okay? And some people are like, my sister's getting signs. What the hell? Or she's going to his girlfriend. What is that? I think that, but maybe that's the only way that they're going to be able to connect. Your journey is your journey. And sometimes the harder it is, the deeper you heal, but the deeper your spirituality is and the deeper the connection is later. There are a lot of things that I couldn't appreciate at the time. So I would just say that if you're going to sit around and try to have a conversation, is it possible? Yes. Every day? I'm sure some of you, when you're gardening or you're doing something, you ask something and you get an answer back and you're like, I feel like I know that was her or him. I know it. But to do that on demand, like I always say, I'm not a spirit DJ and I don't have an on-demand button and I'm not a trick pony. But it's true, because people come in and be like, all right, like in Jersey, they look at their watch, like, go. I'm like, no, you can go. I think being sensitive to energy and to your loved ones on the other side is a beautiful thing, but you have to create the right conditions, and you can't have an expectation where if in a week it doesn't happen, it's not going to work. You know what I mean? Maybe what I feel like the reason that sometimes people don't get anything is because it's like, if they come to you and give you everything you want, you're not going to do any work. It's true. You're not going to try to find the divine. I remember arguing with somebody that the divine shouldn't be a male, should be female. And then I was like, well, maybe why should that be a gender? Isn't that very human? It was just, I just think back, and I'm not knocking on anyone's beliefs, but some of mine were just it was just a waste of time to even try to ask why. And a lot of us go through that, especially with children. You know, why? I came to the conclusion that I don't know a lot more than I know. Anybody that claims that they know exactly what's on the other side, I really question the validity of that. And I've worked with, learned from, and talked with and studied the best. And the general consensus is it's always of love, respect, and honor and healing. And what's best for you isn't always what you want. It sucks. I get it. I know it. I feel it every day. You know, why is my dad coming through and talking so much? I want to hear my mom. You know, like sometimes maybe they have something to say, you know, and maybe if you can think about it in terms of an instrument, like I've been playing a certain instrument for a long time. And I would say that sometimes I feel like the person that shows up first is warming me up, tuning the guitar strings of me into the right key so that when the song comes on, it's like, we're going to rock out. Right. And maybe they're doing that for you, but it's over a period of months or years, you know, because that one interaction, that one exchange can change your life. But I find that so many people dismiss so much that spirits will kind of know that they can't come too close yet, because if they do, she's going to get hooked on it. Or, you know, and look, I'm not saying to not go to mediums. I promise you, I'm not saying that. There's really, really great mediums out there, but just, you know, I have people that come in and they try to lie. Like, no, I've only been to like 1, maybe like 6, you know? You should be meditating, in therapy, going for Reiki, reading, listening to other people, because listening to other people's pain has taught me the most. You guys have taught me the most. When I work with other people, to understand and to feel is to know. If you're trying to hide the grief and the hurt because you don't want to feel that, you can't possibly feel the love then. So you have to go through that in order to kind of see the other side of it. And it sounds much easier than it is. I get it. But talking with my loved ones, I honestly don't have the desire or the need. I know that they're okay and they're doing what they do and they look after us and me and protect me. And I know that I can feel the presence of my mom when my daughter's around. Sometimes I'll just get like a sense where I'm like, wow, she looks just like my mom, you know, like just those little things. That's them getting me to focus on something. That's how subtle it is. It's subtle. Spirituality is simplicity and it's subtle, right? We miss miracles every day. It's true. So, you know, and I would just say you have to trust that where you are is where you are. That's all. Start there.
That's beautiful. And I was going to ask you, because other people are asking as well, where do we find Press Pause? Is that something that's on
It's
your
on
website?
Facebook Live. Yeah, if you
Facebook Live. Okay.
if you like and follow my Facebook public page, the Drew Cali Psychic Medium, or I am Drew Cali, I think it is, at I am Drew Cali on Facebook. It I think it automatically notifies you, but every Thursday morning, sometimes I'll do it on a Friday if I have a guest, sometimes I'll do it on a Wednesday, but normally I do it on Thursday morning, and I do like guided meditations, readings, card readings, questions, and I talk and I just riff like I am now. And it started as a 15-minute a day thing, turned into like a little bit longer, and then I did some stuff on Instagram. And you know, I never spoke in front of people, you know, doing what I did before. I always had a mouth, but it wasn't necessarily, I had the answers for everything, you know. And I want to help you be able to find your own answers, because I can't tell you how many people, who does this, right? So it's like, listen, I feel you asked me a question. I'm like, I think you should do this. Yeah, but you know, and then 30 minutes later, like, you know what I should do is this. And they put it in their words. I'm like, that's a great idea. They're like, I know, isn't that amazing? And then they walk out, they got a great idea. And so we can't hear it because it's someone else's idea, right? Our ego it's just a weird thing. And I finally, to be pliable and be teachable is the most important thing when we're healing. And it doesn't mean we have to be a doormat, right? And you can try new things, but you can't fail if you keep going. You know what I mean? And people can sound really good, but what are they like at home? Are they sitting in a dark room hoping that everything's going to be different when they wake up tomorrow? You know, or are they not able to sleep? Do they cry at every movie they came to watch a movie? And this is normal. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but like, I think what helped me the most is I started seeing real people. I had a friend of mine who's sober, like 47, 48 years. His son, his name's Joe, his son was 9 years old, was walking out the backyard in the town I grew up in. He's much older, the guy Joe's much older than me, but his son walked out to go to school and just happened, never had a seizure before, had a seizure. He fell, landed face first in a creek that was about 2 feet wide and about 2 inches deep, just in the perfect spot so he could breathe in the water. And he went into basically a coma. For 9 years, they had him in there. And he never drank, he never used anything. And he was one of those guys that would tell me like, Tam, have a bad fucking day. And I was like, thank you. Because I needed to see people that were sober and trying to heal and be better people, better men and women for a long period of time. And things weren't perfect. That gave me permission to like be angry and not be okay. Anger can be a gift if it's used for motivation. The things that I get angry about and frustrated with, sometimes I change them and it's the best thing I ever did. And I wouldn't have changed it unless I got angry. So, you know, someone tells me, my buddy Joe always tells me, you know, God's always giving. He's real New York. And he's like, God's always giving. First he says, Drew, you know, you're only here for a cup of coffee. How do you want it? You know, and then the second thing he always says to me is God's always given. It's either a lesson or a gift. You can't outgive God. And sometimes the lesson is the gift. And I was like, I got no reply to that, you know? So those kinds of things are just so special to me because they stick and they bring me back. So connecting, you know, it depends on the intentions, but for me, I think meditating for your own well-being is most important, right? When you feel better, don't things seem better? Yep. People aren't as annoying, right? When you're not in a good space, everything sucks and so does everyone, right? And you just happen to get in the line where the ladies in front of you is going to take forever and pull out coupons for 6 years and then complain about a price for 8 cents, you know? Like it's just like we are a beacon and you have to know what are you putting out there? What are you putting out there? And meditation and prayer on a daily basis in the morning, I want to at least give the effort and the action and the devotion and commitment to spirit. All I do is pray for, if I'm not doing like a mantra type of prayer, I do, I'll just say something like, you know, God, spirit, source, whatever you want to call it. Please help me come from a place of love, humility, and honor today. And please help me. I don't ask for things to be different. I ask so that I can handle them better. Can you please help me handle whatever comes my way today, you know, from a place of gratitude. And also, please let me have a sense of humor and be useful. Please help me help somebody. Please fill up my cup, make me useful. And I'm telling you, this prayer for the first year of my sobriety, that was my prayer every morning. And a year to the day almost of me getting sober, my sobriety date's November 28th. It was December 17th when I had this experience a year later. So prayer works, you know, prayer works. It's not going to, you know, turn my 10 speed into a Jaguar, but, you know, I had a woman tell me she was going to manifest an Audi. That's what her intention was. I was like, all right, good luck. So check your gut. And if you're hurting, keep sitting in on stuff like this. And it's like these kinds of conversations for me are normal with all my students and all the people that I kind of share space with. I can't tell you how many times, you know, I learn so much because so there's a difference between listening and hearing, you know. I used to sit there and listen and wait for my turn. You know, when I started hearing people, I didn't have much to say when they were sharing, you know, and allowing them that space for some reason allowed me to have that space. You know, it gave me permission. You know, if I always had something to say and something to prove, I was never going to get better, you know? So there's so much to it, but meditation for the most part, I feel like I can literally sit in a room and be like, you meditate, you don't, you do sometimes, you used to, You know, like it's weird. There's a resonance when you get quiet and get calm and go into that stillness, your vibration and your frequency raises. Your mind and your stories shut off. Your heart and your soul open up. So you don't have to know. That's why we become so oblivious and go so deep, because that's the only way we can truly heal and realign, because your mind and your story wouldn't allow it otherwise. You know, and we take bits and pieces. We become a sponge that we take that out into our lives and into those people around us too. I don't make my friends meditate, you know, but they'll ask me, hey, what do you know, that thing you do, you know, buddies I grew up with, like cops and stuff. It's funny. Like, you psychic, man, you know, it's funny. What am I thinking? You know, I'm like, oh my God, you know, just give me my bacon cheeseburger, dude. So, you know, out of all things too, when we're hurting the most, if you can find people to laugh with and cry, it's a good thing. Some people don't want to get better and they don't know it. Maybe they do, but some people don't. They don't want to get better because it becomes part of their identity, right? I'm broken. I lost. This is me. This is my story. And I'm not saying that's not true. I'm just saying it's not all of you. And that's not what your person on the other side wants for you. Your person on the other side wants you to honor them with every breath that you live in the present, happy, content, motivated, helping other people, helping yourself. I can't tell you how many parents I run into where they literally were like, if they only did what I told them to do, if they only went to therapy, they wouldn't have OD'd. If they only did this, but that mom won't go to therapy. She got it all covered and she's miserable and angry. So you got to look in the mirror. You have one finger pointing out, there's three pointing back at you, right? Because there's 3 times the power to change for you. People out there, the world ain't going to bend for us or you. It just won't, you know? So I had to get off the pedestal and off the pity pot. And it doesn't mean we can't feel bad for ourselves and have our moments. But to live in that, who's that doing good for? You know, and telling you, if now is calling you to do something different, do it. Because if you don't do it now, a lot of people never do. And, you know, look, I will tell you that, you know, in my family, we had suicide, and it took my sister a long time. She had 2 kids, one adopted, one, you know, was Tom's. And I will say that when she stopped going to therapy, so did they. You know, they watch what we do, not what we say, you know, and what we do is we become so codependent on this feeling that, you know, it does, even if people are caretakers of their parents that pass, or animals. I have people that cry more about their animals than they do their mom. You know, I got the dog, oh my God, I just had their mom. And they're like, yep. It's crazy. So, but if you think about it, an animal's with you all day and quiet, right? It's part of you. So I don't think that we realize how much we affect the people around us. And if you really truly think about, I'll just stop with this. All of us know people, and I do family sessions a lot. And it always baffles me when you get like 3 siblings. First of all, people when they're getting read will forget the name of their husband. They're like, Mike, I don't know any Mike. And their sister's like, that's your husband. They're like, oh yeah, that Mike. You know, I swear to God, I'm not kidding. But you could have the dad from hell, and for one of the kids, it's like the best dad ever. Like we all are that person for other people too, you know? And I would just urge you to not hold resentments against people that aren't there for you, because they want to be there for you, but you got to teach them how, you know? You can't expect them to understand. You can't expect them to hold space. That's why you have this group. What you can expect of them is communication is key, right? Tell them, listen, if you call me and ask me how I'm doing, just let me go on a tangent. And it's okay if you tell me just like, are you okay? But people will stop calling if they feel like you're going to go on and on and on and they can't help you, right? People stop coming by. You don't want that to happen. So you got to tell them, hey, it's okay if I'm all crazy. I'll be okay tomorrow. Appreciate you listening. You know, you got to tell your people what they're dealing with, instead of either putting on a show or getting them off to the side and taking 2 hours of their time, because they don't know what to do with that, you know? So I hope I hope that helps, because I see this stuff and it's the practical stuff that we don't want to do, that spirit will come in and say, and then you'll do it. So don't wait. And then maybe the message will be different and more poignant. So I'll shut up on that one.
That's beautiful. And I just want to tell you that there are people on here. Darlene is saying I could listen to Drew all day, caps again.
Thank
And
you.
she feels like you're reading her mind, answering all of her thoughts. Everyone is talking about how awesome it is to be listening to you, but thanks for all the chuckles as well.
Sure.
Beautiful words, Drew. Beautiful and perfect.
Thank you, everybody.
And Diana is saying, Drew, you are an amazing person, and I deeply appreciate your raw, real presentation of your feelings that help all of us understand our own ups and downs. Thank you, which is true. What you're describing is allowing us to figure out ways to heal. And that's beautiful. Lori Savoy was saying that listening, the whole idea of listening, being there for someone that way is very similar to our caring listeners, which I feel very grateful that Lori is one of those caring listeners. We have a lot of them on this meeting tonight as well. But I was just going to ask you if maybe you could close with a short guided meditation to maybe give
Absolutely.
people who haven't done these meditations a little bit of experience. And I wanted to tell everybody too, Drew's coming back really soon. He's going to be doing validations again next meeting, and we're all very excited about this. But this meeting, he wanted to give us tips and tricks to be able to connect with our kids. So anyway, but I would love it if you could maybe do not a long one, but just a short guided meditation.
Absolutely. I'd love to. Thank you so much. It's so funny. I do free guided meditations on Monday nights, 8:00. You can sign up. Just go to the website, drewcali.com. It's free. Same with the download. And if you subscribe, which I think you kind of have to get the meditation, I send out random live meditations, and I try to do as much of that stuff as possible. But wherever you are, if you don't give up, you'll be okay. All right. So I'm going to do a quick guided meditation. Just if you can close your eyes and just sit upright if you can. And just allow your breath to get into a natural rhythm. And just allow your out breath to be a little bit longer than your in breath. And as you continue to breathe, you start to notice that there's a sliver in the atmosphere just above your mind. And this gentle, calm, light blue wave of energy starts to pour down through you, into you, around you, like a liquid light. Down through your feet. And suddenly you start to feel this warm, white light coming up through the bottom of your feet, your knees, up to your hips, all the way out the top of your mind, and it gently cascades around you as your own personal hurricane of grace, with you at the center, perfect, whole, complete. And you start to notice your breath becomes white. And as we go beyond thought, beyond mind, beyond self, into a space where there's no time, there's no limitations, you can just feel the emotion of your energy, your frequency, your aura. Just tune into that. Just allow yourself to be with you and all that you are. And as you continue to breathe, you start to feel this gentle pull upwards, naturally organically and gently. And in the flash of an instant, you know that the floor underneath you is no longer there. And you hover just above the clouds, just below the stars. And you see this enormous circle of everyone on here hovering with you, meditating gently with their energetic presence. And this beautiful green and yellow light at the center of your chest begins to blink as if the heartbeat of the universe is within you. And this light begins to shine outwards, like in every direction, like a star in the sky. And it begins to connect with the person to your left in this beautiful circle of people. And it goes all the way around through everyone back to you. And it does it again and again, unifying you, grounding you, realigning you. And you can feel the power build. And all of a sudden it gets very quiet and it's just you. And you can hear the gentle flap of wings. And off in the distance you can hear beautiful singing. You don't have to know the words, just trust it's there. And you begin to feel your loved ones, your guardians, your angels, your guides, your ancestors begin to circle you for support, comfort. And as this sacred space is designed for you, you hear a word just for you. Accept it. Let it go. And you can feel these beautiful hands hovering above you. And you can feel two hands on your back. And you could feel the love. And just allow yourself to be in a state of receiving and relaxation with no expectations, as we only ask for the highest frequencies of healing, for your highest and greatest good, our highest and greatest need, emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And suddenly you begin to feel this gentle pull downwards towards the earth, as if the earth is naturally coming up towards you, comfortably. And there's this beautiful boom of light. And there you are on the perfect beach. You could feel the sand underneath your toes. You can hear the seagulls in the background. You can smell and taste the salt in the air. You could feel the breeze on your skin. You could hear the gentle waves crashing. And you could see the sun shining down upon you. And this beautiful golden hue starts to come through as your spiritual self awakens. And it's as if you have a bird's eye view of your energetic or spiritual self. Once again, allow yourself to become a state of being and surrender to the experience. And breathe out. There's a flicker of light next to you. You have a visitor. Do not allow your mind in. Let it be organic. Through your heart, through your spirit, without words, just an energetic exchange, an understanding. You may have multiple visitors. Breathe down. Resistance is persistence, just let go. And then just in front of you, there's a beautiful animal making eye contact with you to get your attention, as if you can see into their soul and they can see into yours. This is your spirit animal guide. And you take one breath And you can feel the release of the energy. And as you breathe up from the earth as if the earth is breathing into you. And as you breathe out clear waves of energy. As you release emotional residue. And you could put your hand or hands over your chest or stomach and just feel the love. Feel the warmth. Feel the peace. As you're reminded of all that is, all that ever was, and all that will be, eternal, infinite, and divine. And I just want you to imagine you facing you. Your energy self is facing you. You see you sitting in front of you. What is it you need to do? What is it you need to do now? What is it you need to let go of? What's next for greater peace within? Can you trust that? And once again, you can gently hear the singing off in the distance. And you start to breathe your way back to the room that you started in, gently and slowly. And you can just bring your awareness to the word gratitude and give thanks, not for what you have, but for who you are and all that you are and all that you've been given. And you see the number 3 in front of you, the number 2, the number 1. And just take a couple of deep breaths and just wiggle your fingers and toes and just breathe your way until your eyes open up. And what I would recommend is just writing down some takeaways, like what words you got, what colors you saw or didn't see. And you can get colors or understand things in a meditative space. You don't have to see. Don't have to see. You could just trust that it's happening and it's around you. You could feel the energy. So I noticed when I got to certain points, people were able to let go, and then other people went right into their head or could never let go. And please remember, if you're really critical of other people or of the process of healing and how it's being conveyed to you, please know that's you being really critical of you. And you got to change that voice because it doesn't help you. I see that a lot. You know, that inner critic will stop you from meditating real quick. You got to give yourself permission to be vulnerable. Vulnerability carries the greatest strength. So I just really appreciate you guys allowing me to share space. Wow. And again, you could find everything drewcali.com as free meditations. However I can help. And I'll be back, I think, next month. And we're going to do a group reading. So I just really, I love seeing that. So people got the word love. And don't dismiss whatever you get. I get people that do, if you see your spirit animal, like I had somebody who was like, I got a squirrel. It doesn't mean you're going to see little shiny things and you got to run around like crazy. It might mean that you have to prepare, right? They're really good. They prepare. They're always gathering, right? So look up some of it. Stephen Farmer has a really good book out. He's passed, I think, but it's like you have to look up animal spirit meanings, things like that. And look, when something resonates with you, trust it. When it doesn't, trust it. So Elizabeth and Irene, thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Drew.
Drew, that right when you were saying spirit animal, I had a deer, just one, and we usually have more than one, walk right past the window, so close to my window, actually. But that was beautiful. That was absolutely, I think
pleasure.
everyone appreciated it so much. And Irene, I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, no, no. I was just going to say how beautiful and peaceful, and I could just feel the love just being with everybody. It was amazing. Thank you.
You guys
I
are
got a
awesome.
dear
Thank you
Drew.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Yes, please
Thank you, Drew.
and say thank you and good
Thank
evening.
you. Thank you.
Thanks for being with us, everybody. And thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
you.
Bless
Thank
you,
you.
Drew.
Thank you.
Thank you, Drew.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Night, everyone.
Thank
you.
Night.
God
Stay
bless
blessed.
you.
Wonderful.
So much.
Great to meet
Thank
you.
you, Drew.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Drew. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a wonderful
Bye.
day.
Thank you, Drew.